So this is a little bit different of a video for me, but I had thoughts in my brain, which is where they usually occur, and I figured I'd jump on and share them with you and see what you think. So the topic today is, did the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild actually learn lessons from the music industry? I'm going to talk about two things today, and the first one is streaming. And I think that both the writers and the screen actors have really learned from music when it comes to streaming. No doubt they see the issues that they're dealing with, but I have a feeling that perhaps they've talked to a musician or two, or some of them are musicians as well, and know what a nightmare trying to sell or release recorded music. So, if you don't know, one of the issues that especially the writers are concerned about is royalties from streaming. And we're seeing some shows get kind of written off, canceled, and pulled off of services altogether. Writers are seeing their royalties go down because of streaming services. Now, if you're a musician who has recorded music on streaming services and, you existed before 2005, certainly you notice that we have been down this road. When artists had CDs, right, before iTunes, before the iPod, before MP3s, right, you would sell CDs and tapes. And oftentimes, an artist would do a small to medium-sized venue and be able to sell enough CDs or tapes to kind of make gas money to get down the road. And then you had some merch sales, and of course, you would generate revenue from ticket sales and things like that. And it was really helpful. Well, then iTunes came out, and then you had the Napster thing, and iTunes. But when iTunes came out, you were selling songs for $1, and the revenue went down. But you're still selling some CDs, but you weren't selling a lot of CDs because people were buying music off of iTunes and putting it on their iPods in the early 2000s, and so you were losing some revenue, but you were still selling that song for $1, and depending on the deals that you had with labels and distributors and things like that, you were making some part of that. You were making, whether 10 to 25 cents, whatever it would be, again, depending on deals. Well, now, in the modern streaming world, even independent artists, for instance, my music that I have out, this is my plug, on Apple Music and Spotify, and pretty much all the streaming services, I'm making tenths of a penny, and I own everything from the publishing to the masters. I own everything because I did everything fully independent. I cannot imagine major label artists who are probably only making 30%. We figure 30% of a tenth of a penny. Even if you get millions of streams, your art is devalued to almost oblivion. Now, dems to breaks. Looking back, maybe we should have fought. It would have been nice if, listen, as much as I love getting Apple Music for, was it $5-6 a month? And Spotify, I think the highest tier of Spotify is like $10 a month. It should be, from the artist perspective at least, should be more expensive so we could get a bigger piece of that pie. But it is what it is. And now it has been established. And you're not going to put the genie back in the bottle. It just is what it is. And so, as an artist, you have to find other ways to make money. And if you want to like and subscribe and keep watching it, help me out. Let me be able to move on from my day job. That would be awesome. And I love making these videos, by the way. It's a lot of fun. But the idea is if you're a musician, you have to find other ways of making money. And sometimes that's a day job. Well, if I was a smart screenwriter, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd be looking at that and say, holy crap, and now TV shows and movies are on streaming services. This is what's going to happen to us. We need to pump the brakes and stop this and figure this out. That's what they're fighting for. And, in our minds, sometimes we look at these performing art guilds and we think of the big stars, but actually there's a lot of just regular old people, lower middle class people. They're just trying to make a living and support their families doing something that they love. And they need to be able to make a living wage. Certainly it has affected, in some ways, the quality of music and music production, because you just don't have, you think of Metallica's Black Album, they put $1 million into making that album. You just can't do that anymore. You look at the Beatles productions, and what they did in the 60s was remarkable. And certainly you can't put that level of effort into recordings anymore unless you are just independently wealthy. The money's not there. You're never going to get that money out of it. An artist has to tour. Whether you're, a lowly kind of local artist like me, just trying to do something, or you're a big major label pop star, you can't. The Beatles just sat back and made recording. They stopped touring. They stopped doing anything else. They made a couple movies, Sgt. Pepper, and they just recorded. And they did amazing things. But you can't do that today and make a living as a musician. Now, technology has been, it's kind of helped. It's not like this. It's maybe like this. It's not a huge gap. And technology has made up a lot of that gap, thankfully. Which leads me to the next point. Number 2. And that is AI. Rest assured, AI is a massive topic in these negotiations. I'm not there. I don't know. This is speculatory, but I was reading through the Twitter thread of Anson Mount. If you don't know him, he's an actor. He plays Captain Pike on Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. Trekkie, guilty as charged. Anson Mount is probably one of my favorite actors. Reading through his Twitter thread, he was answering questions about the strike, which was so cool of him, by the way. But one of the things that was mentioned in there for the actors is NIL, name, image, likeness, with AI, right? Because the way AI is progressing, they can kind of cut an actor into a scene. And if they just take your image, with AI, who knows as it progresses? Right now, AI is the worst it's probably ever going to be. It's just going to get better and better and improve from here on out. And so what if they just take your image and use AI to make a movie? That is something that is a concern. And while we can rail at, these actors making millions and millions of dollars, why are they striking? It's not. So first of all, for every Chris Hemsworth megastar, Robert Downey Jr., for all the megastars, there are 100 or 1,000 different actors that are, just making a living. They're on TV, they're minor roles here in movies, and those actors are incredibly important to the work that we like to view. It's the actor who gets paid $50,000 a year to work on a TV show where he's working 16-hour days. Shooting TV shows is pretty intense. I've heard. I'm not an actor. I haven't been on a TV show. But if you want to book me on a TV show, call me. No. But they work long hours to produce the content that we enjoy. And I'm thankful for those guys. But that's who's really concerned with what's going on here. But certainly the big stars are concerned with their NIL, because studios could say, you were in the movie, so we can just take your NIL and use it for whatever. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want somebody making a AI version of me and just using it willy-nilly. I want to be able just as a normal person. And hopefully somebody is coming up with some sort of legislation to have some level of protection on our own individual name, image, and likeness for like all the normal people like us. So somebody can't just take your image, put it into some kind of AI, and they could make you say all manner of things. They could use it for slanderous purposes. They could use it for whatever. That technology is not some far-flung future thing. So in that case, some of the AI stuff that the actors are negotiating may have broader implications for society as a whole, let alone us musicians. I mean, certainly as a musician, you can be very famous without having a large amount of money. And if you have some degree of fame, even local fame in communities online, your NIL has some sort of value. And you want to protect that. But we as musicians, it's kind of like herding cats. We didn't come together for streaming. We did not protect our art then. And we're not coming together to right now to protect our NIL. But I think we need to. And if there was a call to action, it's that. Now, AI, I'm not against AI. AI is a thing that exists and it's going to continue to exist. And there are ways that I'm sure we can use AI to benefit society, and it's going to be great. But there are dangers with AI, and we need to just think about what we're doing, keep some guardrails, so that AI can continue and become super beneficial and become a tool that we can use rather than something that is used either for the benefit of corporations or criminals. I will put a distinction between the two, although there sometimes is some overlap. And also, listen, AI is coming for pop music. It's a thing. And likewise, I'm sure the Writers Guild is trying to make sure that AI doesn't take over theirs. Because I can imagine a studio says, they have an idea for a show, just feed it in the AI and then hire one, a human writer to tweak some stuff and let's put it out there. Especially for TV shows that are fast moving, I think it's true. At least for musicians, there's always going to be a space for independent artists. We're going to be like craft artists, where, this music was made by humans. It's special. There's always going to be a place for that, just like there's always going to be a place for live music. It may be too late for us musicians to fight that, but we'll see what happens with concessions that the Writers Guild might get, and that may positively affect us in the music industry going forward. In conclusion, musicians, let's come together and try to protect ourselves and our names and images and likeness and our art so that we can continue to make this stuff and continue to put stuff out for people. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this video, and remember, it's always about the song. Peace.